ahead. First off, I want to thank everybody part of the Dyersburg Civitan Club for allowing me to come and speak to y'all about something that I think is a really important issue for our community. In the spring of 2014, residents of a Michigan town began to complain about something wrong with the water they used in their homes. The water had an eerie smell and look to it, and it concerned them. What followed from those complaints can be considered one of the worst water crises in U.S. history. Now, what caused this crisis to occur? And why should we be concerned about the effects of it when we're not even involved? Well, the event that I'm speaking about is the Flint, Michigan water crisis. Now, according to Adrian Dingle, the event occurred due to a switch in drinking water sources from the Detroit Water and Sewer Department to the local Flint River. Dingle points out that the river had high levels of chloride ions and a high or low pH, which caused the water to corrode the distribution pipes leading to the breakdown of lead into the water. Because of improper treatment to the water, between 6,000 and 12,000 children was now coped with health problems associated with the release of toxic lead into the drinking water. Now, as a Tennessee certified wastewater operator myself, I'd like to focus on ways that we can prevent contamination to our waterways here where we live. So during this discussion, we'll talk about how the public can do their part in preventing disasters like Flint, Michigan from occurring. First, we'll discuss different ways that non-compatible pollutants make their way into the collection system or the sewer system and the effects that they have. Second, we'll talk about some simple changes that can be made at home to prevent pollution from entering the collection system. And then finally, we'll discuss the effects that making these changes can help treat our wastes and benefit the community. So first off, it's important to understand a small bit about what a non-compatible pollutant is and how these pollutants make their way into our collection systems. According to the EPA, there are several different items at home that we use that can actually be hazardous to the collection system and its workers. These items include drain cleaner, glass cleaner, furniture polish, mothballs, and even rug deodorizer, just to name a few. Most people don't realize that by flushing these items, they are causing detrimental structural damage to the collection system as well as the wastewater treatment facility that receives that water. Now that we've discussed some of that, the items that fall under those category of hazardous wastes, what can we do to keep these wastes and other non-compatible pollutants from entering the collection system? Well, in a government article from the town of Simsbury, Connecticut, some suggestions are made that can give us a basic idea of what we can do at home to prevent the disposal of these hazardous wastes. Some easy suggestions I found when I was researching this article included not flushing or disposing of household chemicals, which we just discussed earlier, down your sink or your drain. The article also mentions a very important non-compatible pollutant, that is cooking grease, and mentions that keeping from pouring the grease, fats, oils, these things down the drain will help to prevent damage to the collection system. Now we have a basic understanding of what a non-compatible pollutant is and how we can do our part to prevent their disposal. I'd like to share the benefits of doing our part in treating these pollutants. In an article written by Andrew Postman about keeping our water clean, he discusses how preventing the disposal of household items keeps our drinking water clean. To visualize this, I'd like you to think about where your water goes after you flush it. If you live in the city, the water is sent to the treatment facility where it's treated and then released to the river. Now, as I discussed earlier, Detroit actually switched their water source to their river system. So imagine if we were pulling from, say, the Forkadere River, which is where we release our water after it's treated, and that water was making its way back. Some of the river water eventually makes its way into the groundwater that our drinking water is pulled from. So by thinking before we flush, we can keep our waterways clean. Postman brings out further how we can make sure our communities stay clean, taking on a larger role in preventing pollution. Some ways we can do that is become part of a local environmental group that focuses on making others understand the need to prevent this water pollution. As concerned citizens, we can also report any suspicious dumping we may see that puts the waters in jeopardy. After hearing this speech on prevention of waterway contamination, I urge each and every one here in attendance to do your part in keeping our waterways clean. Become more active in helping our community to understand the effects of improper disposal techniques of non-compatible pollutants. Do more research and ask questions to become more familiar with ways in which to keep our receiving waters free from contamination. By making these small changes, we can assure that generations to come will continue to benefit from properly treated clean water. Thank you.